everybody. Hello, what is up? How are you today? The sky is, everybody's like, I'm not sure what to do without the John. Yeah, somebody said happy birthday. That's great. Guys, let's hear it for Jack again, helping me with my table. Thanks, Jack, my man. All right. All right, so who here enjoyed that game of Get Off My Lawn just a minute ago? Yeah? What was better, the game or watching the life group leaders start to gasp for air because they probably haven't run in like 25 years? I know that's right. I was like, man, I'm going to go get some dodgeballs, and just in the process of going to get dodgeballs, I'm like, I'm out. I think I had a heart attack. It was nuts, right? All right, cool. So we're going to be starting things off here, a new series, right? So something a little different. I'm going to try to keep this shorter because we spent too much time getting you guys off my lawn, and so now we need to kind of speed it up, right? But this whole series is called This or That, right? And so when I say this or that, what does it make you think? Would you rather? Something else? Two options? I can have a donut or I can have cake. I'm choosing the donut. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I mean, cake is good, but, like, cake is generic. A donut is, like, a special thing, I guess. I don't know. All right, it's kind of the same thing. You know, it's just I like to think of the guy who invented muffins and donuts, and they're, like, just some big fat guy like myself. Like, you know, how can I have cake for breakfast? I know, we'll put it in the shape of a circle, and that's how we get to do that, right? But this whole series is on comparing things, right? So not necessarily comparing like apples to oranges or donuts to cake, whatever it is, right? But how we tend to compare ourselves to others, right? Now, when we compare, we're looking at how one thing is and how the other thing is, right? Who in this room has like a best friend that's in this room with them? Like, point to your best friend who's in this room, all right? Point to him. We can't see here. Hang on a minute. All of us? Okay, you guys are right here in front. Just give me two of you. Just two of you. Come on up here. Hurry up. There we go. 1, 2, boom. One of you stand on this side. One of you stand on this side over here. All right, what is your name?
Lucy.
And what is your name?
Selena.
Everybody say hi, Lucy and Selena. All right, now, on the count of 3, I want you guys to point at the one that's better, okay? 1, 2. No, don't do that. It's horrible. Oh, my goodness. No, don't do that. It's terrible. Now, be honest a little bit. In your hearts, were you guys a little bit nervous at how many people were going to point at you or, like, the other person, like, because you're kind of comparing a little bit? It's okay. She's like, no, I knew they were going to point at me. No, I get it, right? It's something we do. All right, thank you, Lucy and Selena. That's all I needed for you. Go sit down. All right. But you guys are like, okay, fine. But we compare ourselves to other people in every which way, right? It doesn't really matter. And we use other people as just a way to measure our lives. So who in here, just today, has compared your life to somebody else's life? Be honest, all right? Who has not compared your life to somebody else's life today? Wow, you people are selfish. You need to think of other people more, right? No, I'm kidding. All right, but we have a tendency to look at other people's lives, and a lot of this happens through Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all that stuff, right? So when you're looking at somebody else's drip, and you yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it through one day without saying something. It's so great, right? Yeah, so when you're looking at people on TikTok, or you're looking at whatever else's life, you're kind of looking at what's happening in their lives. And so if you have a friend, you go over to their house, like, wow, their house is better than mine, whatever, this kind of stuff can lead to disappointment in your life. Like, you go back to your house, like, man, this is a crappy house that I live in, right? They live in a mansion. Or, like, it can cause frustration. Like, does anybody have a friend that's just better than them at something, right? My friends were all better than me at sports, and so I gave up on that when I found this cool world called Star Wars, and I just escape into a galaxy far, far away, right? No, but my friends are all better than me at sports. Or, like, who else has, like, these people in your school? You don't have to raise your hand for this one, because this one, but, like, there's people in your school that are, like, super popular, and you don't really feel popular or anything, and so you get, like, frustrated. Like, why can't I have that, right? Why can't I have friends? Why can't I have all this? Or some people, like this happened to me a long time ago, not anymore, as you can probably tell, right? Some other people, you compare yourself, and it motivates you to get in shape, right? Obviously, I'm kind of the goal, right? Don't worry, guys. You'll be in your mid-30s soon, and you'll just settle. That's the way it works. But anyway, so it can make you feel hopeless, or it can motivate you, or it can do all kinds of stuff, right? Sometimes you could look at your life, and you could have it kind of compare the other way, and you'd be like, man, I'm better than that person, right? Has anybody ever seen anybody else, and you're like, man, well, at least I'm not them, right? Yeah, raise your hand. I know that's true. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but, it's something that happens, right? Now, in the Bible here, we got this guy named Paul. He's talking to us about, in 2 Corinthians, he's going to talk to us about what it means to, like, compare yourselves to other people, all right? And so he's like, okay, it's wrong to use other people to measure your own life. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, Paul is looking at us. He's talking about all kinds of stuff. He says, oh, don't worry. We wouldn't dare say that we're as wonderful as these other men who you look at, or who tell you how important they are, right? Has anybody ever come up to you and been like, oh, man, I'm so important. Like, dude, my dad owns a dealership. You don't even know. Just leave me alone, right? These other people try to tell you how important they are. And Paul here is saying, don't worry, we wouldn't dare tell you how important we are like they do. But they're only comparing themselves with each other, using themselves as the standard of measurement. So they're saying, look how great I am because of me, right? I've done all these things. And we know that that's not something that we should do, right? If we're like looking at our lives and we want to see how things are going, we need to be looking at other standards, objective standards that come from God, right? So God tells us that we're all built a certain way, we're all different, we all have talents, we all have skills. And while my talents might not be in sports, they might be in other things, right? Or if your talents aren't in, like, let's say, whatever, public speaking, you're like, man, I wouldn't be caught dead up there at the microphone, but for some reason you can get out on a football field or a volleyball court and you can just go to town and have everybody look at you that way. Like, there's a different way to measure yourself, right? But it's not based off of yourself. It's based off of these gifts that God gives you. And so Paul goes on to say about how comparing yourself to others is really bad. And in chapter 18 of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, or verse 18, excuse me. Fellas, listen up over there, all right? Did you just tell me to shut up? Dang, all right. Playing for keeps down that way. All right, when people commend themselves or they praise themselves or say, look how great I am, it doesn't count for much, right? When somebody says, look how great I am, I'm the best, I've done all this stuff, as far as the world is concerned, like, yay, but it's all going to burn away. It's all going to kind of disappear, right? So the important thing is looking at your life for how God commends you, right? How God says, you're great at this. This is how I made you. You're awesome, right? We're all a little bit different. We're all built a different way, and God doesn't compare us to other people, right? God's not going to look at me and then be like, dude, you're not as cool as he is. I'm like, yeah, all right. But he's not going to think that he's better. He's not going to think that I'm better. God built us all to be the way that we are. And we have a tendency to compare ourselves to other people. And so we need to look at ourselves and treat other people the way that Jesus treated other people, right? He never thought he was better than anybody else. He always kind of went around and treated everybody the way he wanted to be treated. And so comparison for all of these other people, it kind of starts in our hearts, right? Like, my heart is unhappy with something in my own life, and instead of, like, looking to what that is or looking to what God says about that or being like, hey, yeah, I can't do the cool TikTok dances. Somebody tried to get me to do one today about a dolphin. I don't know what that thing is. Like, I don't know, right? But somebody tried to get me to do one about a dolphin, and I'm like, I don't know what you're even talking about. But instead of trying to, like, compare myself, all the girls in the room are now doing the dolphin. But instead of, like, comparing myself to, like, what the standard of cool is, right? I look at myself, and I have to look inside my heart for how God made me. Right? Has anybody in here ever felt bad by comparing yourself to somebody else? All right? Just think about that moment and think about, like, what is it that you felt like you were missing out on? All right? Where did that root instinct come from? And so being unhappy like that is coming from a place that's definitely not good, right? So in Proverbs 4:23, the Bible tells us this. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. So if I'm spending my entire life comparing myself to other people and chasing this like artificial dream, this fakeness that everybody else has, right? I might put something on social media that's like, oh man, that's awesome. Look how great everybody's doing. But then behind the scenes, I go back and my parents are fighting, or, you know, my best friends all just abandoned me and they all, you know how it feels to be left out of a group, right? You know, there's all of these things. When we look at other people's lives, we're never comparing the bad in our lives to the bad in their lives, or the good in our lives to the good in their lives. We're comparing the good in their lives to the bad in our lives. We assume that everybody's life is doing the same thing that you're seeing in that one picture. So when you see all the girls going like this, right, in the picture, or like what's the other one where they all like put their hands like that? You know, whatever. Yeah, like they're like, okay, I don't know. Why are they always holding hands? Like, I've never seen people hold hands more than in a picture. But when we look at that kind of stuff, we assume that that's the best thing there is. That's like the peak. They live their life that way. Has anybody taken a picture like that? And you're like, cheese. And then as soon as the camera's done, you're like, Becky, you're the worst. You know, like you instantly go back to fighting. Instantly. But you don't post the fight. You post the like, the oh man, look how great we all are. Not the like, oh, get out of here, you stupid cow. No, we don't post any of that. All right? By the way, don't call your friends stupid cows. I'd like to point that out. All right? But, yeah, unless you are, in fact, friends with a dumb cow, like an actual bovine that you're going to eat later. Yeah. But paying attention to our hearts and how those feelings start. Fellas, listen up. This group over here, listen up. Paying attention to our hearts and figuring out what's fueling those emotions is really important. All right, figuring out what's happening when we compare ourselves to others is really important. And there might be a different reason for all of that, right? But there is a reason why we do that. And figuring that out is step number one. All right, the next step is, instead of saying like, hey, I'm not doing as good as blah, 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 right? Instead of saying like, oh man, I'm doing this, they're better than me, whatever. It's looking at your own life and being like, wow, I get to do blah, 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 right? Like, everybody, like, raise your hands if you had food today. Yeah, there are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people in the world who didn't get to eat today. All right, and then real story, true story, if for some reason you did not eat today, and like you keep it low key, whatever it is, please talk to us. There's no reason that anybody in this room should not have had food. We can help you. Okay, so side note. But God has provided, right? God's done that stuff for us. And so instead of saying, man, I didn't get to have whatever, I didn't get to go to Urban Air for 9 hours, like I just got to go home and play my Xbox. Like, okay, that's a cool thing too, right? So looking at what you do have, be thankful for what you do have instead of comparing yourself to what other people have, right? Everybody struggles with this comparison in their lives, and we do it different ways. But when we go into life groups here, just like when you're walking out of this room, we're going to be leaving here in just a second. When you're walking out of this room to go with your life groups, like think about, what does comparing myself to others make me feel? All right, like sometimes it can make you feel like you're better, sometimes it can make you feel like you're worse. But look at that, like think of that moment that you compared yourself to someone else, and think about, what is the thing that's happening inside my heart? Okay? Think about that. I'm going to pray for us, and then one group at a time, I'm going to dismiss you guys into your life groups, okay? All right, let me pray real quick, and then we'll go out to life groups. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to come here, hang out, have fun, for all the adults that are taking time out of their days to pour into students, just because they see the benefit in raising up the next generation. Lord, thank you for all these students who come here and have fun and get to listen about you and everything else. Lord, and thank you for making us the way that you make us, so we can compare ourselves not to anybody else, but to who you see us for. Lord, guide us this week and help us look at the things that you've given us, the things you've blessed us for, and help us see all of the great things that you provided for us. Lord, we love you in your name. Amen.